Hey there, everybody. It's Kenny K again, and I bought myself a new figurine. I'll be back. The Tech Noir scene, the one where he finds Sarah Connor in the club, dancing club, and wants to kill her, and Reese makes his move and blasts him with a shotgun. But this isn't about the figurine, it's a review about a slasher movie. Yeah, just wanted to show you my new figurine. This is about a movie that actually was okay. It's called Haunted Ween. um, from 1991, although it there's some confusion. I found I couldn't find this. I don't have this movie. I found it on the internet, on Facebook. Somebody who put it up, a VHS copy, really bad. Uh, the dubbing was bad because the voices didn't. They did. They didn't match the voice and the mouth. You know that like it's dubbed like it's an international movie, but it was an American movie playing in Kentucky. Also, like a door slamming, and then 2 seconds later, you hear the bang. So it was VHS quality, but listen, it was free on Facebook. So, and it said that this movie could possibly be from '88, and I did had the feeling that this was a 1988 movie, that it still was an 80s movie. It didn't feel like 1991 at all. I guess a 4.9. I'm actually giving it a 5. Hmm? Directed by Doc Robertson, also written by him. None known actors at all that I know of, at least, and I'm not gonna. And also the characters. There were so many characters. You got an entire brother fraternity, a sister fraternity. I didn't know all their names. The only ones that I remember is Kurt. He's the fraternity leader or head brother or what it's called. And then I never went to a fraternity. Sorry. Uh, and then his girlfriend Sally. Yeah. The killer in this movie is called Eddie Berber. Now, the thing is that the movie starts at a date when they're holding this. I think this is probably one of the first movies that hold a haunted house ride, like a walking ride, right? Like you have nowadays, you have everywhere with crazy special effects and practical effects, really creepy done, haunted houses. Look at that found footage movie, the houses that October built. But in this case, it's Halloween, okay? But it's ultra lame. So at the entrance, there's who takes the money is this guy Eddie, a young boy still, a young boy, and he has this mask on, a stupid, ghoul mask on, and everybody's teasing him a little bit, and you know, eventually, what happens is he goes to it's closed for the night. He goes to the house, and but he finds he wants to get in, but somebody holds him back. Eddie, your mom told me you're too young for this. You can be in it, but if you're older, okay? Now let's go to bed. And then, okay, let's go to bed, but there's still people in there. So we see this. He goes through a secret shaft in there, and which he then later on will use again as the killer. Now he's not a killer yet, so but he's like obsessed with monsters and blood and all those things. It's such a lame ride. the the people just go in there. You got a guy just walking there, blood, murder, blood, murder. I mean, okay, Then you have a guy that sits there and says, "Boo," and a little girl is saying like, "You're not scary at all." And then eventually she lost loses her parents because they went further and they didn't notice that their daughter was still hanging back with that idiot who said boo. And then eventually she comes before Eddie and she asks, "Can you show me the way out?" Yes, he says. Till this, he does this, takes a candle, follow me, and then she follows him to a room, and then he starts to go nuts. He has this machete in his hands, and it's like, oh, going after her. She's running, running, running. A little girl. So every time a kid dies, it's frowned upon, of course. Nowadays, it's not so much frowned upon if you see the It remakes and such. But back then, she walks into a splinter of wood and she penetrates herself. You see the thing going out, she's puking blood, and then he decapitates her with the machete. And then he throws his mask away, he goes out, he's running away, and his mom finds him in a field somewhere full of blood, and she says, "We gotta get out of here, Eddie," for a long, long time. And she takes him with. 20 years later, we go to this house in the woods, and we hear this old lady calling, "Eddie, Eddie, big Eddie, you come right here with that wood." So he's, chopping wood, and they let you show he's a big guy. He has these big arms, and he's a big guy, and this hulky, dude, and he breaks the wood like that, and so he has that with him, and she's saying, "Where's that wood?" And then she immediately out of nowhere gets a heart attack. She falls down, and he's like, "No, mama, mama, no, no." And then he says, "We'll go back home, mama. We'll go back home." So he puts her in a van, drives back to the Berber house, which was the haunted mansion. Introduced to the fraternity. Now, so apparently the brother fraternity is in debt for $3,700 ish. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, these guys, nobody wants to chip in. Yeah, $1, $4 here, And okay, I understand, it's big money, but they all drive a fucking Corvette. They all drive a fucking Corvette. So if you can afford a fucking Corvette, you can pitch in $50 each. It was a big fraternity, right? No, and then they involve the sister fraternity because they are not in debt, but they have to help. So they're actually the guys in this movie are kind of douchebags, all of them. The main guy, Kurt, the leader of the fraternity, he's like, he doesn't appreciate his girlfriend, and the girlfriend really loves him, and then at some point he even dumps her. No, he doesn't dump her. She says, "Maybe we should take some time out." Great, I don't care. Have fun like this. He's an action. And at some point he becomes jealous. He becomes jealous and he wants her back. And yeah. Now okay. So the killer is, first of all, let's establish that he's called Big Eddie Berber. Now, eventually, you have one character. Now I'm not sure what his name again was. I think Mel. This guy, okay, was in Kentucky. I'm not making people from Kentucky. I'm not gonna laugh at them at their accent or something. But this guy. So everybody had that southern accent, but normal. This guy was like. This is a line from Simpsons, but I'm gonna say it because I don't remember all his. He was a comedic relief. in the fucked up parties, he's one of the main characters too. So he talks like this. I wash myself with a broom on a stick. Yeah, let's do that. He's like doing, and every and there at some point you're holding parties, you know, so people can pay and it's money. And every time he opens the door and it's his fucking face, and he's like, howdy. Oh, that's the way how he talked. That's the way how the fucker talked. And I thought to myself, fuck man, please let him die first. Please, please. Normally, this kind of dude dies first. I thought this guy was a retard. I thought he was gonna jerk off on a plant. Somebody had to say, that's a jizz-free ficus. I mean, he was out of there, man. The way he talked, the way he just was like, yeah, let's do that. So, besides him, the acting was okay. But with a comedic relief guy, you have two options, good or bad. Okay? For an example is, you can have somebody who's not really funny, but you like the guy. Like Friday 13 Part 2, the big, tall, you know, he was third in command or second in command, the ginger head guy. He was comedic relief. He doesn't die in the movie because he stays back at the bar. But the guy had this sort of voice, like a little Pee Wee Herman in there. But he was kind of, you know, a cute, funny, you know, a guy where you would, oh, let's take a beer. It's no problem, you know. It's a guy. He won't fight. He won't do stupid shit even when he's drunk. Like that kind of guy, right? But this kind of guy, he's the bad. He's the bad. He's trying to be funny. He's not. And then with that, he had the over-the-top accent, like a redneck, but a very flat redneck. And then with that shrill voice, yeah, let's do it. Fucking party. Yeah, howdy, everybody. Oh, Jesus Christ. And, okay. And he was one of the main guys, so you couldn't really walk past him. But like I said, besides that, the acting was fine. I mean, it's a B movie. It's a generic slasher movie. Although there were a few things in there. And that's why I think it's still an 80s movie, because they had some good ideas. The killer was intimidating. He wore a mask. Wasn't then a regular bloke. He had a mask also, like this, the creep. He looked like the creep from Creepshow 2. He had that kind of mask, an old man's face mask. I think he switches masks regularly, and then he's a ghoul, and then he's this, and then, yeah. So eventually he comes to that party they organized. Of course, Mel opens the door. Hey, stranger. And you're not a fraternity boy. And he says in this deep voice, yes, I am. Because what he... Oh, yeah, let's do the fraternity handshake then, you know? And then he does the handshake, but he knows this because the fraternity 20 years earlier came to that house to party a lot, the Berber house, and they taught him the shake, you know, their shake. So he says, is that the correct one? his voice like that. I mean, yeah. And I says, here, take these keys. They're from the Berber house. You can use it to hold a party. And okay, they think not, and he'll turn around and says, hey, you don't want any money for this? And then he says, not at all. Good luck to you. And then he goes there course, to the Berber farm. He gets ready. He's making his own kill room. So they're coming up with the idea of making a haunted mansion, right? Okay, asking $5 a piece per person, and they get their money, of course, because it's a thrilling success. That it's back opened. You've got the sheriff that that 20 years earlier he came. He didn't age any. He didn't age at all. Same had the same haircut, the same face. Didn't no aging. But he was there too at some point, saying to Eddie, "You look good, Eddie, with that mask." For some reason, he wanted to kind of comfort him because he thought he was sad, and he appears back again because one of the fraternity sisters, it's her dad, and he's there. What the hell are you kids doing? You don't know how. I have no permission to do this here in the Berber house. And then there's no, but okay. And the sister, his daughter, convinces her. But then who's the one in front of him? Howdy, Sheriff! With this stupid cap on that goes up like this. We're just gonna have a party. So he was everywhere. He was everywhere. Like I said, I thought he was a retard going to jizz somewhere and jizz here and jizz there and just Jesus fucking Christ. I was scratching his balls twice or something, so I thought really he was gonna jizz somewhere. Oh, okay, so they're gonna hold this haunted house, right, okay? Now, the night before, they're all setting things up, separate rooms where they're doing these things, like scenarios, but really cheap, like using store puppets, like the marionettes, puppets that they use for clothing and as body parts, where you can clearly see like there's a screw on it to put on the torso, and there's not even blood on it. I mean, they're doing it really cheap, but okay. They have a flamethrower also at some point. I thought, okay, how the hell did they get the flamethrower? Okay. This has a significant role in the end of the movie that I will spoil. So, I'm guessing now spoilers will start. So before I'll go to spoilers, I have to say this movie gets a 5. It's a fun watch. It's a one-time watch for me, but it's a fun watch. I had fun with it. It's one of those movies you don't have to think too much. If you can't get past the shrill asshole Mel, I think his name was Mel. I even don't know now. And some of the hokey acting, but somehow they keep the story going, and they don't, and because it takes a while before Big Eddie Berber kills. It takes a while, and in the meantime you have these fraternity boys trying to raise money, and then at some point he goes to the fraternity house to give them the keys. So it takes a while before he actually shows up, and then the killing starts. But for some reason they keep the story entertaining enough that it doesn't fall flat on his back. They always keep it going, and it keeps you entertained. There is some fun gore in this one, which some of the effects were pretty good, some are not so good, but you had a few good ones. Practical effects, gore, some splatter gore, and like I said, the killer was intimidating. You really want these fraternity guys to die, so you don't really have although the fraternity chicks are really cool girls. I mean, they're helping them. They don't have to, but they help them, so they're not sluts or something. You know, there's only one scene where you see some nudity and a couple that strays off, and that's where I'm gonna go in spoiler territory because that's the first kills that happened after the when he was a Big Eddie was a kid, when he was small Eddie, right? Um, but like I said, you got gore, you've got a little bit of quirky characters, and then I'm not talking about Mel. It just that's the con Mel, okay? Maybe some a little bit hokey acting here and there, but what do you suspect? But and the sheriff gave some timeline errors, but it doesn't fall flat on his back. It keeps the story going, like I said, and it keeps you entertained, and you know what's to come. If you saw the first kill, they're killing this. He kills this little girl. I mean, fucked up in a fucked up way. So you know what's gonna come. And if you see Eddie, he's like this big giant dude. I mean, he has these big arms and so he's an impressive dude. So you know, okay, it's a good killer. You got some good gore. You got some guys you want to see die, and except the girls. I actually felt sorry for the girls. Yeah, but on to spoilers. So I recommend it for a slasher fan, horror fan too. If you're a horror fan, especially if you're a slasher fan and you want to notch out another slasher, and I'm thinking it's an 80s slasher because they say 91, but an IMDb says 91. But where you can find it on Facebook, just type in Google the movie 1991 hauntedween, and and you get a full movie, and you get a free Facebook page, somebody who puts movies on there, a VHS quality again, like I said, but you can see it there for free. So because it's a hard one to find, it's an obscure one. So there you go. So the first kills happen. They are holding this pre, you know, campfire moment in front of the Berber house, for their last night, and then the day after, night after, they're gonna give it all. Okay, now two couples stray off. A couple that want to go skinny dipping, and they stray off. The guy says when she takes off her bra, this is my favorite time in the movie. So he's actually kind of making fun. He's like, what's it called, meta or something? I'm not sure. That's in the movie, in the timeline of a movie, in the movie. And she goes in, but he's waiting. Wait a minute. And then she goes in, and then Big Berber takes him by the neck, takes a machete, hoists him against a tree, slams the machete in his neck, and the guy's spewing blood and blood spewing out of his neck. Then she's in the water, but it's cold. She's waiting for him. Big Eddie, you see him coming closer and closer. You see this big lump coming closer behind her, and then neck. But and that was cool because you saw the neck, the skin of the neck like distorted, that it was like, it was stretched out. So it was pretty, that was, like I said, good effects. Now, okay, day after, D-Day, okay, for the haunted house. First of all, what Big Eddie does, he makes the murder room. He makes his own room for some reason. Okay, nobody in the entire movie sees this. It's at the end of the ride. Now, so what he does is nobody sees because that asshole Mel is standing on the gate, collecting the money. He's the idiot collecting the money. um, everybody except Kurt and Sally. But Kurt is like, I need to find my girlfriend. I need to find, because one of the guys wants to bone her, and he wants to be there before, and he asks Sally to come to his van to do the the deed, and he's going there before the other guy has a shot. Now, what happens is at some point Big Eddie comes out. He takes this girl who has to pee. So everybody's doing their shit, their stunts. So nobody knows what's at the end of the. So they think it's the end. The last cage is the end for them, but it's actually another cage in there called the killing room. So he made that. Big Eddie made that room. He put his grandma on display on a chair so she can watch. His grandma, his mom, an old lady, of course. And she's looking pretty good for a dead body. It's just a lady who was like sitting there. She was with her eyes shut. I think she was taking a nap. The actress. But that's what I say with timeline continuity, like older people that don't get older, and only Big Eddie becomes older. Then the only thing you see of him before that is his back of his head. He has this big afro, like these curls, all these, like, really big. So like I said, he had an 80s feeling, totally not a 90s feeling. And he has a beard too, and okay, he's aged, right? But into a giant. And what he does, the girl that says, I have to take a pee. So they don't have a toilet, no outhouse. She's just gonna pee, like, sitting on grass, and does her stuff. Okay. I can, it's a normal house, so they should have a toilet at least, but okay. Eventually she goes out. Big Eddie takes her by the crotch. She's just peed. She didn't clean herself off. Nice. And then he hoists her against a tree stump and hits her head. Now I'm thinking, is she dead? Is that the kill? And then another guy goes to get a beer for one of the girls who is fake torturing. And Big Eddie is pumping, the keg for the guy, and he says, "Oh, thanks, brother." And then he does this with his fist, and he gives him a knuckle sandwich in his face, so he falls flat, knockout. Is that a kill? I thought, okay, if this goes from stabbing in the neck, breaking a neck completely, 180 degrees, and I'm thinking, okay, this is lame. No. He's using them. He's basically, what he does is also the guy who wanted to bone Sally. He also knocks him out. What he does is he takes them to the killing room, and of course everybody is going there, and he's making this little show. He's, like I said, he always wanted to be in the Berber house performing, right? So you have this girl that was peeing, and then you had the guy who. He's sitting on this chair. They're still knocked out. The girl's she's starting to wake up. He takes off her gag, and she's saying that this is real. This guy's a real killer. This guy's gonna hurt us. And everybody's, whoa, she's a good actor. She's a good actor. And he's making this little cool thing, and he's doing something like, oh, and then he takes a machete, and he does this. He gives a show for the people. He takes a chainsaw. And he cuts her head from the back, not completely off, but half off, so she flops her head back. Everybody, yeah! Then he takes a baseball into the other guy, the guy he gave a knuckle sandwich to, in his mouth, and he is taking this bat, and everybody's like, come on. He misses, and they're all, strike one. Misses again, strike two. And then he's like, and everybody, knock his fucking head off. And then, jam. He just knocks his head off his shoulders with a baseball bat in his mouth. Then he, at some point, Kurt and Sally reconcile, and he jumps out of and knocks their head against each other. All he takes the guy who the boner guy, and then Kurt and Sally to the killing room for another performance. And then so the boner guy is sitting on he's on a noose and sitting on a chair, so he's ready to be hanged. Kurt is sitting in this chair with this electrode on his head, so he's getting tortured by electrifying, but always not too much, so he doesn't die. Sally is like hanged, like in a cross, like way, and he slices her with a scalpel, like and that's anatomically correct. Instead of a lot of people think it's like this, no, the right way it's like this. So he does this, and she's bleeding out. She's not dead yet, but she's bleeding out. It's something you really have to take care of right away if you don't, And he punches his chair away. Now, okay, the other guy is not dead yet, but he's like, because it didn't snap, of course. It's just hanging there and suffocating. Now, what happens is Mel decides to take a visit to see. He says it's closed. Going inside, I want to see. He sees that killing room. He's saying, "This isn't real. This isn't real. This guy's a real killer. Everybody out!" Everybody goes out. Oh, everybody out. And he takes the fucking flamethrower and he starts to blast through the fence. And Big Eddie, he jumps in this sort of in the ventilation. He doesn't escape yet, because Mel becomes the fucking hero of the movie. He becomes the fucking hero of the movie. he scorches the rope off, so the boner guy survives. He takes all the shit off Kurt. Kurt takes Sally off, and then Big Eddie comes back out, and Mel starts to blast him with a flamethrower. He's hit, but not completely. He still makes it out. And then you see a scene that Mel's coming out like this. He's like ready to faint, like somebody knocked him on the head, and he falls on the ground. Somebody else says, "I smoked him like my mama's home biscuits, bastard." So, my mama's homemade biscuits. I smoked them. And then you see, now luckily this is the end of Mel. Now it's Kurt's time to get him. The sheriff arrives. Now Kurt and Sally are sitting there. Instead of putting pressure on the wound, no, he's just letting her bleed out. He's letting her bleed out on the stairs. And the sheriff arrives, of course. First thing the sheriff does, what should a sheriff do if he sees this situation? Backup, first of all. If he has backup, in the small towns, one sheriff and that's it. Usually you have a deputy. And calling a paramedic, right? No, he doesn't. He just runs out of the car. He sees this girl bleeding out. He just almost jumps over her and he goes in the house. And then eventually Kurt, he sees Big Eddie jumping in his red van that he took to get to the from the place in the woods to the Berber house. He's escaping, and he takes it down to slash with a machete the tires of the sheriff's car, and then but Kurt leaves his girl again just unattended, bleeding out like a stuck pig, and he takes the shotgun, which is a 2-barrel shotgun, which is weird. I never saw that in a cop car. Usually it's a riot gun, right? A 2-barrel shotgun, and he goes after the guy, it's the van, he meets him up back on the road. I don't know how he got there because the killers are driving. You see him taking off his mask, you see his face. It's like burned half, you know, like here. But you see he has a beard, big curly hair. He's a little bit scruffy, but he has this burned piece because of the flamethrower. And then Kurt appears out of the bushes, out of nowhere, like Superman, with his shotgun, and he tries to ram Kurt off the road. He jumps away, and then he aims his fucking shotgun to the back of the minivan. Now, okay, taking two lucky shots. Hopefully, he hit him. All right, a scattergun basically, because this was two barrel. It's from a distance. He shoots. The car explodes like a fucking, like he had a grenade launcher. I mean, explosive 12 gauge bullets. The car just explodes like fuck, like, and then the most, oh my god, thing happens. You see the sort of car stopping, and then you see so you think, okay, the killer's roasted, everything is on fire, the cabin where he's sitting and the steering wheel's in fire, everything, he has to be roasted, right? No, he drives away in a flaming ball of fire. He just drives away. You have this flaming ball of inferno hell driving away, and the movie ends, the credits. So he survives in a burning fucking car that's still on fire, and he just la 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 la. Like I said, this movie, don't take it too serious, but it's a fun time. It's a fun time. Yeah, like I said, it doesn't fall flat on its back. You know, sometimes it starts to fall flat and then it comes back up again and gets you back into the story. So it's a fun movie. So I do recommend it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like the damn video. Subscribe. It's free for more lovable content. You know, and irritating fucking malice. And comment if you liked this movie, or if you ever watched it as a kid, maybe. See you later. Bye bye.